you're trying to find a spouse, it is all sales. It's all the same thing. It's just how you perceive it and how you approach it is what's, going to create the result at the end. Every single marketer needs to know sales. Every single salesperson needs to understand marketing, because they both go so hand in hand nowadays. And I've, worked with a lot of companies that kind of bridge that gap.
Welcome to the Clear Brand Marketing Podcast, where we take the mystery out of marketing and help you get more leads and sales with a clear brand and proven marketing tactics. I'm your host, Alexander. And today I am talking with Connor Dube. He is an advisor, host of the B2B Mentors podcast, and multi-time entrepreneur behind brands like ConvertAvisit and ProvenContent.com. From his first oddball business at 7, Connor has gone on to generate over 8 figures in sales by his early 20s and coached hundreds of high-level marketers on content marketing and social selling strategies. He's been featured on leading marketing podcasts, platforms, stages, and contributed coursework to help colleges modernize their curriculum in B2B sales and marketing. What a bio, Connor. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's so good to be here, chat with your audience, have fun, nerd out about sales, nerd out about marketing. What more could you ask for?
That's right. I think that's exactly it. Nerding out about these things is what I'm excited about today. But I got to start.
I genuinely love it too. Like it is exciting to me. I know some people, they have this weird relationship with sales and marketing, and it's like the ugly stepchild in their business. But without it, there's no business. There's no businesses. No one can grow, sell, market, build anything. So,
yeah, it makes me sad how many entrepreneurs talk about how they don't want to sell. I hear that a lot. I don't want to come off as salesy, but it's a huge part of business. It's a necessary part of making anything work here.
It's funny. I did door-to-door sales for a little while when I was paying my way through college, and I was, I had done sales before. I'd done cold calling for an insurance agency. I had been servers in restaurants. That's a form of sales. Like everything is built around sales. But in my mind, I had this perception of what sales was. And I would go to people's doorstep and we're selling, very high-end windows, and they would open the door. I would just start pitching them, and I sounded terrible, and I sounded like a used car salesman, because in my mind, that's what sales is. And then, just over the years, and I've gotten, one of the best advice I've ever gotten from one of my mentors is that selling is not telling. And so that's also goes for your marketing as well. Selling is not telling. Selling is really helping, and it's really asking good questions and understanding, what the biggest problems and challenges and hurdles that your, client, the person that you're trying to bring to the other side is looking to accomplish. And we think it's this very weird thing that's outside of just building relationships and talking, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're, trying to grow your business, whether you're trying to find a spouse, it is all sales. It's all the same thing. It's just how you perceive it and how you approach it is what's, going to create the result at the end. Every single marketer needs to know sales. Every single salesperson needs to understand marketing, because they both go so hand in hand nowadays. And I've, worked with a lot of companies that kind of bridge that gap. Especially me, you see, if you're watching on video, I may look like a younger punk, but, very seasoned in this marketing and sales world, believe it or not. And I work with a lot of baby boomer business owners. And I think that's the toughest thing for a lot of marketers. And, they're owned by companies with baby boomer executives, and being able to bridge that gap between, hey, we need to see sales. What is sales? How does sales work? And marketing, and how do they, marry in with one another?
So tell me more about that marriage there in your mind.
Yeah, I mean,
sales and marketing.
I mean, sales and marketing operates very often in a silo, but let's say I'm a door-to-door salesman, or I'm a, SDR or a BDR, or I do prospecting, or I do cold email, every single touch point with a potential customer or an existing customer is also a marketing touch point, because marketing feeds how that communication happens. And good marketing is built around neuroscience, understanding that there is a formula, understanding people's pain, what is the claim that you're making, what's the proof behind it, is the formula for persuasion. And persuasion is ultimately in every good sales conversation, every good marketing asset that you put out there to support sales conversations. So, sales is like a lot of that front facing. Marketing is also there to reinforce sales, and vice versa. Marketing is there, or sales is there to reinforce what marketing brings in the door, and they both have to go hand in hand.
So how would you say, what are some of the differences in your approach to marketing versus sales?
Differences, I mean, it depends on every business, right? First things first is really understanding your customer. That's what's going to create the nuances. Every business is set up differently. Every customer is a little bit different in where they, spend their time, what they're consuming, who they're talking to. So, the question, it's kind of like there's really no silver bullet answer to like perfect marketing or perfect sales.
Mm-hmm.
But it's understanding, number one, truly, truly who your clients are, and truly, truly what pains they're experiencing. And I guarantee you that 98% of people, especially if they're really struggling to grow and to scale, they think they understand what problem they're actually solving with their product, with their service for their clients, but they really, really misunderstand it. And they haven't even done the simple homework. For example, I talk to hundreds of businesses, sometimes in a week, like back-to-back calls on 30-minute, dime, talking to, business owners, marketers. And when I ask the question, when's the last time you've actually interviewed your clients and asked them the question, hey, from working with us, really, what problems have we solved for you? What was your perspective of us, working with us? What were your reservations of working with us? And you'd be so surprised when people go in and do that work, the kind of answers you get. And then you go and look at your marketing, you look at your website. This is where we tie into, one of the topics we talked about, ROI Recapture. And you look at these assets, you're like, holy crap, we missed the mark on everything. We truly do not understand why people buy from us. We think we understand, we have a sense of it, but at a psychological, at a business level, chances are you're probably missing the mark.
So just a little recap there. So a lot of folks, they're selling stuff, but they haven't done their homework in actually asking people, hey, what is the pain that you had? And what was your experience? What were some of your fears before working with us? And when they do, they get to discover a lot more about how they can sell even better, but not in a way that's beating people over the head. The kind of the formula you'd shared was, what's their pain? What's the claim that we make to help solve that pain? And then what's the proof? I think that's a great approach. I think everybody could use from a little bit more talking to their customers.
It's more important now than ever, because and we've learned this just from pure practitionership, right? I'm not a speaker. I'm not a coach. I operate businesses and grow businesses and provide services and all of that good stuff. And in our proven content business, we've produced 40, 50,000 custom pieces of content. But here's the thing, in recent years, of course, with the advent of ChatGPT and AI and all of these tools, any of your competitors, anyone can go out there and just pour mountains of information and content, talk about how great they are, talk about why they're so special. But the true differentiator is not what you're saying about yourself, but what others are saying about you. And so one of the most powerful marketing exercises you can do, and one of the most powerful marketing moves you can do, is very, very simple. Hop your clients on Zoom, interview them for 5 to 10 minutes, ask them those questions. Hey, What problems were you experiencing that led you to meeting with us? What were your reservations about meeting with us? What were the results of working with us? And what would you recommend to others who are considering working with us? Capturing that in video, you can turn that into articles, into visual graphics. You can, use video assets. You can use that as a podcast. And that is the social proof that's going to sell you better than anything else. Those are the kind of assets you can leverage on your website, send in email campaigns, leverage on social media, because everyone else is out there just talking about themselves versus letting their customers be their best advocate and do their marketing for them. And of course, video is so powerful. When I'm looking for vendors, I never even go consider a vendor unless I have video testimonials, because anyone can go fake a quote. Here's quotes of what our clients have to say on our website. And yeah, okay, those are great. It's better than having nothing, but really getting that conversation, that depth in your, in your relationship, in your conversations with your clients, that's a game changer, baby. That's where good content, should be at least one good factor of being effective with content.
So we've got these interviews that help people gain more insights and understanding of who they're selling to and why they're buying, which will help them sell more. But then they can repurpose those same interviews as testimonials, as I'm hearing. That's a great idea. What is there like a minimum number that you'd say should be interviewed before you start drawing conclusions about what you've learned about folks' pain?
I mean, it depends. If you have 9 customers right now, then try to interview the 9. One of my own business coaches, who's he's a 9-figure earner, 9-figure entrepreneur, and he came up with what's called the 3-3-3 rule. So I go into this anytime I go and launch a new company, launch a new brand, is three clients that you serve basically at no cost, right? To provide them, show them the value of your service, and then go back and interview them to get that social proof. Those 3 are going to help you get your next 3, clients that you then can charge more, charge half of what your desired rate is. And then those 3 and 6 will help you lead to 9. And all the while, you're also improving your process, your business, your formula for success for net new client acquisition, because you really understand what you're doing with your customers. Most people go out, they sell some customers, boom, they move on to the next customers, and they never really go deep with their existing customers.
So that sounds more like it's a rule for when a company's getting started.
Whether you're getting started or you're a 50-year company that's doing, $1 billion in sales, is going into your top customers and conducting those interviews in one form or another.
If the 9, the 3-3-3, the first 3, what makes me think it was early in the process is the first 3 were free or low cost.
Yeah, I was giving an example of if you were to go, and what I do, launching any new business service, and not even a new business, right? Let's say we have an existing business that's been around for 100 years, and I'm launching a new product or service category, right? This can apply for that as well, for the marketing side, but also to help you improve and develop out that, new product or service. I'm saying free as, kind of an example, but the main point is capturing social proof, because social proof is what sells. Anybody can go to AI, blah, 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 and go generate gobs of ridiculous content that other people are using that maybe makes them look and sound good, but it's vapid. There's nothing to back it. Whereas the thing that backs it nowadays is social proof. And you do it already. You go to Amazon, you look at reviews, right? You go to buy anything, you look at reviews, you look at what other people are saying. The same rule applies. Why wouldn't it for a $100,000 B2B SaaS solution, a multi-million-dollar, logistics service? Same rules apply in that case, because you're marketing to people, you're selling to people.
Right. And if we're talking about a massive company, because some of these things, the same principle is going to apply regardless of the size. So small companies just getting started might do those things, start with their initial services for free, 3 times. I like
Mhm.
that. But the massive companies would just call that alpha or beta testing.
Yeah,
And then they
absolutely.
would be interviewing to learn not only how do we market this, but also how do we improve it. Maybe it's not actually solving people's pain in the way that we assumed it was. One of
100%.
our principles is to test and validate. And so I love that use of these interviews. There's so much to gain from just that 5 to 10 minutes with a few customers.
You'd be so surprised how many CMOs, even marketing directors, haven't even sat in on a sales call or
Wow.
listened to a sales call or gone on a ride along. It's and then they're out there in a vacuum creating marketing
Hmm.
and creating marketing assets and spending gobs of money on it, and they're wondering why what they're delivering is landing flat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Jim Collins and in his books, Good to Great and Built to Last, Great by Choice, all these things. And that's one of the things that he kind of noticed as he was studying the great companies. He always has comparison companies, which is unique with his studies. The comparison companies are similar industries, offer something similar, but they were not as successful. Sometimes in some of the studies, they went out of business, and some of them, they just didn't reach the same heights. And one of the things that he noticed is the companies that do really well, even the CEO is meeting customers. The CEO of Home Depot is in one of the books, and he's out in the stores, walking the floors, seeing how it's going, and just being connected is huge.
I mean,
Well,
look at T-Mobile, great success story. One of the greatest, greatest kind of turnarounds and success stories is I can't remember John's last name. John. They branded with the pink, but anyways, he would sit at nights, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. This is a CEO, multi billion dollar company,
mhm.
and he's listening to customer service calls.
Wow, that's the way to do it. That's a good CEO. Well, let's get into the topic that we had discussed, which is ROI recapture. Uh, One of the things I look for in who to trust these days, because there's a lot of folks out there, it's kind of the thing is just to get on social media and give advice. Everybody likes to give advice. But there's some folks who have actually done it. And then there's some folks, that's even a smaller number, that have done it multiple times. And so this is what I see in your bio is you've been involved in the process of growing companies over and over. And that to me says, hey, this isn't luck. There's something that you've picked up on over the years. And I know that there's a whole lot that we could go into, but where we're going to go in this conversation is ROI recapture and how that can help folks grow their companies. So why don't you help define ROI recapture? And then you said that there's 4 C's that we'll go through here as well.
I came to a kind of a point, me and my business partner, and we've done so much content for our clients over the years, and of those clients that we've produced content for through proven content, they're also doing other marketing activities, SEO. They're doing trade shows. They're doing paid advertising. We've grown our businesses like this as well, affiliates, just cold calling. And the thing that really struck me with this is, hey, we're doing a lot of these things that, especially in B2B sales, they're not an immediate return on it. Time, money, need, opportunity, all these things have to align in order to get a B2B deal done. And of all the business you could be doing right now, only 3% of your entire market is ready to buy from you at any given time. So to grow any company is maximizing and focusing in a lot of time on that 3%. And then the other 97% being able to get to them first and provide value throughout the relationship until they are ready to buy from you. So what we recognize is at the end of the day, no matter what people are doing in their marketing, and that is all marketing is, by the way, and what good marketing is, and how I've grown companies and grown clients' companies is understanding that it's reaching enough for the right people, and number 2, consistency, consistently being able to stay in front of them. It's not that complicated. Like if you can figure out where they're hanging out, what they're doing, reach them. And then number two, consistently being able to stay in front of them, you can grow. Okay. So all roads in any marketing lead to Rome. What do I mean by that? All roads lead to Rome, meaning all activity, whether it's a referral, it's, ads, it's SEO, it's pay-per-click, you name it, come through to the number one marketing asset that every single person in their business, every business has, ideally. Every business has one of these. It is your website. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, we will go to a website when we're looking at buying something, or we're interested in somebody, or we were referred there. And the vast majority of time, we're going to say, nice site, and we're going to leave. Right?
Yeah.
And so that leaves this huge amount of opportunity for someone where the buying intent is kind of starting to get there, but they've dropped out the other end. And where are they going to go? They're going to go to your competitors, and your other competition, which isn't someone who sells a similar product or service, but your competition is all the other noise out there in the world. We live in the noisiest, busiest, most distracted era ever. So you're losing people that you've already spent money on coming to your website. And that's where we've developed, and no one's talking about this, right? Everyone out there is like, spend more money, do this and this. We're here looking at the big picture like, hold on a sec, pause. Because you've already put a lot of investment into salespeople, marketing assets, whatever. And that you're likely kicking up activity into, areas that you don't even know are there. So first, before you even spend another dime on marketing, we should figure out where to recapture lost ROI and lost marketing spend that you've already put into places. Right? Wouldn't you agree with that? It's like before you go and keep filling up the bucket and you're walking up a hill with a bucket that you want to drink at the top, kind of like your cash flow, if the bucket's leaky and it's falling out the other end, you're just losing things that you're pouring into there, and it's a wasted effort. So
let me make sure I'm understanding you so far. So I like this leaky bucket idea. So the base assumption here is, which is based on research, so it's not just an assumption, but it's a fact, is we know that the bucket's leaky. We know that at most you're going to be looking at possibly 3% of the folks who see an ad or who read content are actually ready to move forward anytime soon.
Yeah.
But hopefully
today. I've heard this area called dark social before, I'm sure. It's a big popular thing. It's just those things that you can't see in your marketing that are immeasurable, that there are people who are looking out for you, but they're unseen. They're unseen at this point.
Okay. So they're looking, no action is taken. So it doesn't show up in your Facebook ads ROI, let's say.
Yeah.
You're paying all that money, and 97% of folks who see it don't do anything with it. So
or we know you're putting tens of thousands of dollars into LinkedIn and organic content. Let's say that's the case. Well, after 6 months of maybe your prospects seeing you show up on, platforms, eventually they may not click that link. That marketer was so smart to put the attribution link in there and say, well, this is how we're going to measure it and measure sales. But what will happen a lot of time is, I see this. I'm going to go over to my other web browser. I'm going to type in your website and go check you out.
Yep.
And those are the things that you can't always see exactly, the crossover. And all that while, the 6 months while you were nurturing that lead, they didn't like any of your content. They didn't comment on it. They didn't leave any sign that they're even engaged, besides maybe you're connected with them on LinkedIn, or they're following your LinkedIn company page, or they're on your email list is another example of that.
Yeah. This is my journey with a company called Athletic Greens. I had heard them talked about on Andrew Huberman's podcast. I think Tim Ferriss had recommended them. I'd seen some ads, some commercials. We'd actually used their website as an example for a client website that we built. And eventually I decided to buy. When I did, I went straight to their website. I did not use anybody's promo code, which promo codes are for tracking. And so as far as they're concerned, I was just direct traffic. They had no clue that I had been in essentially a form of a funnel
Right.
for years at that point. There's no attribution. So that absolutely makes sense. You called that dark social. I like that.
It's kind of that area of dark social. It's the things you
Yeah.
can't see. It's when the two coworkers, or two colleagues meet up at a conference. Are like, hey, I'm really struggling with email marketing. Oh,
Mhm.
we've hired this clear brand company and they're doing a really good job. You should go check them out. And they go and check out your website.
Right.
Well, there is no direct attribution to that. How do you match that advertising you did to acquire that customer with that customer who came in through a referral?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, those are the areas that you can't see. And then they may go to your website, look at some other competitors, whatever, and then you, in some cases, may have the chance to lose that lead without even realizing you had that lead in your pipeline in the first place.
Right. Well, so I know we've got a time limit for our conversation today. So we've got a leaky bucket, and you're talking about how do we recapture some folks who we've already paid for them. We've already paid for them to see our ads and things.
Yeah.
So walk me through the 4 C's of ROI recapture.
Yeah, there's 4 very specific things, and this is tried and true. We've tested this across hundreds of clients of websites over the years, done it for ourselves, and it's an evolving thing. And some of these areas too, they all have to work in cohesion. If you just have one of the 4 C's, then the other ones aren't going to work as well. So, number 1, being copy. Now, copy is really the static things that people see when they visit a landing page or they visit, your website. Most of the time people hit your website, see your homepage. That's the first thing they see, and you have seconds to capture their attention. Now, this is where, number 1, a lot of people really fail is because you, again, back to our earlier conversation, don't truly understand the problems that you solve. And the other thing is most of us, we see ourselves as rational people, right? We're rational thinking human beings. And the truth is we're not rational creatures. We're irrational. We immediately think with our primal brains, not with our rational brains. We first perceive with our primal brains and then we rationalize later on. And the human brain, when they land on your website, if they see your marketing asset or your material, they have, they're receiving anywhere from about 11 million bits of information at any given time. But the brain can only pay attention to 50 bits out of the 11 million bits of data they're getting, right? So that's 0.0005% of the information that you and your business you're trying to relay to somebody is being captured. So what does this mean? Copy is what's going to help to immediately get them to resonate. Now, again, I talked earlier about there's a formula for persuasion is understanding the pain that you provide, the claim, the proof behind it, and this equals persuasion. So one very simple thing everyone can do is look at your marketing, look at your website, look at your assets. How often do you say things like we and our versus you and your? And by you and your, I mean, you're talking literally directly to your prospect or your client because we're selfish by nature. So we only care about us. I don't care. We are an award-winning digital agency. No one cares about that. Everyone goes and buys awards for their agency. Like that's ridiculous. Right. So, where do you really fit in and what are the problems you solve? Copy this. You need to figure this out for copy that you're using in emails, that you're using on social, that you're using on phone calls, but especially your website when it comes to ROI recapture. Number 2 is CTAs, which I know is simple. And by CTAs, I mean calls to action. And a lot of the time when we look at our website, it's either contact us, get a quote, purchase something. But we don't A/B test very often. Like we build a website for our business marketers, we build our website. We say, all right, done. That's it. Like we
Mm-hmm.
don't need to do anything else. Where in reality, are you asking for too much? Are you giving people a way to opt in? Because again, remember the fact that only 3% of people are ready to buy from you. So does that mean you're just going to leave the other percentage off to the wayside to go into wherever, whereas you had a chance to convert them? I'm not saying get into our email list, but is there an offer that you can provide in exchange to get people to provide their information, show that they're looking and interested and want to learn from you, and be able to capture that? And oftentimes it's as simple as just playing with the keywords, right? Instead of on our Convertivisit site, we said, get a quote. No, we said, see if your website qualifies.
Okay.
And that was very specific. And that page converts very, very well, by the way. And
Wow.
you can even look at it. And so see if your website qualifies. So it's so simple, but it makes all the difference in the world of getting people hooked in and converting and being able to recapture those, leads when they come to your site. And number 3 is content, because we talked about reach. We talked about, consistency. Content is what creates context into your business. So videos, visual graphics, podcasts. If I go to a vendor's website and I haven't seen they haven't posted on their social media in 6 months, their blog hasn't been updated, they have no fresh, education and information out there, I almost assume they're out of business. I'm like, are these guys still around? And the other thing is, educating you is becoming the information hub. So when people go to your site, your content should be an additional library to teach people how to solve their problems when they're not ready to buy from you right away. Then they're going to find, hey, I can't put all the pieces together. I need to hire this company to help me do it. That's where content plays a role. And again, because it creates context, content is also where you deploy your social proof, your credibility, your thought leadership in a way that's unique to all of your competitors. This is how you differentiate yourself. So if you get your copy in line, you get your calls to action set up properly, you're leveraging content, which is also helping to drive traffic to your website through SEO and through social and organic and ads and you name it. That's where content comes to play. The last thing is technology, that without it, you're doing possibly all of these things in your marketing, but you're still losing out on potential revenue on the back end. That's where the 4th C of ROI Recapture is Convertivisit. And Convertivisit, as simple as it is incredibly powerful, because there's a lot of web tracking tools. HubSpot has a built-in web tracker. Google Analytics has web tracker, but you're only getting a small sliver of the actual data of what's happening in the back end, from where people are coming and finding your website, what happens when they get there, and if they're not already in your existing CRM, who the heck are they? And how do I retarget them? So Convertivisit goes out, researches those visits on a permission-based, tracking availability, and so can go out, research them, and actually provide you not only the name of the company from where that person came to your website and visited, but also in a number of cases, the individual, their verified email address, their verified phone number, what pages they looked at on your site, where they sourced from, and a bunch of other really cool data that also works in with your CRM. It's my favorite tool in marketing, because no matter what you're doing in marketing, it recaptures the money you've already spent.
So this is basically, a couple things here, because that was fantastic. But we've got the 4 C's are copy, which is like the sales page content, basically. The words on the sales page, the CTAs. So what are you asking them to do? And one thing that you mentioned is, are you asking them to take a step that's too big? So test out. We don't want it to be just learn more. We want it to have something that's going to drive them towards a sale. So often it's schedule a call, and you're also talking about testing some different things to see what happens, like the one that you had mentioned, does your website qualify? I mean, that's fantastic.
And I think two things: either a sale, they're a step closer because they want to get more information about what it means to buy from you, but it may be like multiple steps below that. And I know people are fans of like gating content, white papers, which no one reads 20-page white papers anymore, unless you're in some scientific, bio lab kind of business. But maybe a video, maybe some sort of asset that's valuable, that's consumable, and they're willing to say, hey, here's my email address and some of my information in exchange for this piece of information I want. Yeah. Or I really like your stuff that I've seen elsewhere and I want to receive more of it, and maybe more exclusive versions of it that you can send me through a newsletter or, email campaigns.
Okay. So then we got the third C is content, which is different from copy. So content is more informative. It provides context and allows you to become an authority for this topic, help people solve some of their problems on their own. And the fourth is convert a visit. So just to describe convert a visit, it sounds like it's Google Analytics, but you get to know who's actually there.
Google Analytics on steroids, because what good is the high level data? Oh, great, I've got 100 people visiting my site. Versus understanding really what the quality is. And that tells you how good you're doing at your marketing too. We had a client who, we put on a trial of Convert a Visit. They're spending like $8,000 a month in PPC. They're also regionally based. So they're pouring all this money. They're like, we see all this great traffic coming to our site. The the pay-per-click must be doing very, very well. And we put it in, and come to find out 90% of their traffic was totally outside of the territory they wanted to be paying for. It wasn't relevant. It wasn't quality. So they can adjust their spend on that and reallocate those marketing dollars into something else that was already working good, but they could have scaled up further with that additional budget. And they had no idea if they didn't have the technology to find out.
Yeah. So people can verify who are the companies coming to our website. Are they even the types of companies we're going for? But then beyond that, this is where our conversation about sales and marketing we tie a bow on that here, is the sales team gets individuals who were on that page. They can directly reach out to them. They can have that list of companies, and they can go find the right person at that company to potentially reach out to. So all four of these can help people do a better job of initially capturing ROI on their marketing spend, but then also recapturing like the content. That's really about folks starting to see your website as that authority, bookmarking it, coming back over and over, and then eventually buying from you.
Yep.
This has been excellent, Connor. I appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge about marketing you're sharing today. Anything else that you feel like you want to touch on before we wrap up here?
I mean, like I said, reach, being able to stay in front of people. And I would say the other magical one is being able to recapture them and ROI Recapture. They all tie together. So at the end of the day, you can't figure out where you're going to go in your marketing unless you know where you're at. And you cannot grow what you cannot measure. Convert a Visit is a fantastic solution to do that. And you can do it for free also. So you can go to convertavisit.com, see if your website qualifies, and get a free trial, plug it into your site. Immediately, you'll start getting leads that you may have had no idea were there. Now, let's say you work with Alexander and their fantastic brand, Clear Brand, and you're doing email, right? And you're doing cold email through their system. It's another great use case because people aren't always going to respond to the email, but they may go and check you out, look at more, and they may just not ever respond to email, but you can go in and recapture them. You have their data now. You see that they're there, hit them on LinkedIn, and it's better for sales teams, for marketers to focus on the people that are actually engaged versus you keep hammering, chasing around cold audience that, maybe never wants anything to do with you, but you can tell their level of interest based on what they looked at when they come to your site. Convert a Visit can give that all to you and more.
Awesome. So for folks who are interested in trying out this basically Google Analytics on steroids, it's convertavisit.com. Pretty simple, no weird spellings or anything. Convert a visit. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, Connor, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me, brother. This was a blast. Appreciate you much, and thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Clear Brand Marketing Podcast. If you need help with your website or marketing, go to clearbrand.com. You can schedule a free strategy call with one of our consultants, or take advantage of our free resources to help you write, design, or implement a better website and marketing.